All right, let's do it live on a Friday edition of the program. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z. We don't have a practice. We don't have What do we do with our hands?
I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know at all. But I got a mic on light, so I know that my mic's on.
You know your mic's on.
I can't hear it because I don't know where my earphones are. But I'm gonna. Oh, here they are.
Get yourself plugged in. Go ahead. Go ahead. It's on a tee.
He said it's right there. No, that's he knows that this actually isn't my fault. I didn't take these out.
Who did? Who would do such a thing?
My guess is probably from the preview show on Wednesday.
There
with
you
network shows, I will always unplug them.
I appreciate that.
Right
I don't need this in somebody else. No, dude, we're all good, Gibby.
I got
You're
you.
good.
I got you. I switch out Bo's chair because a certain someone sits in there on Wednesdays.
By the
I
way,
won't give First Friday the benefit there on that one because it's a negative.
by the way, yesterday we had, honestly, I'll be honest, a tremendous edition of the Kevin Stefanski Show. I thought it was a really good interview with Coach. Gerard and I had, I thought, some nice discussion, so I'd urge people to check that out. But then there was a moment in which I was moved to the following three adjectives to describe the power and magnitude of what I had just experienced.
All right, go ahead.
And they were panache.
Oh, boy.
And you'll know the next one only can have one word before it, but aplomb. A great aplomb. And then I was moved to this word.
Yeah.
Gravitas.
Gravitas.
Believe he was moved to these because it gets him out of doing something.
Oh. Well, if there's double benefit.
What a negative slant. And by the way, isn't it
What a
odd he's
negative
attacking
slant.
me when those three adjectives were used to describe him?
The great Gibby.
The great Gibby.
The great Gibby.
Who has now become the interviewer of record for the Kevin Stefanski Show.
Stop it.
God.
No.
And
Wrong.
after
God, what's going on?
the tremendous, I mean, really, the panache, the aplomb, the gravitas of what he did. Yeah, hold it high, hold it proud. I mean, yesterday he had a GM summit on the show.
I should get a B. Should I not get a B?
He wants a B.
One step at a time, Gibby.
Yeah.
No, I got the big P yesterday.
Well, there was enormous penis out of you yesterday. I tell you, the thing with the big B, though, Gibby, let's see how this goes throughout the course of the season.
Yeah.
Oh, I
We'll
fully
see how it
expect
goes.
to let you down as early
I
as
like
Monday.
this. I like this.
We're 2 for 2
At
right now.
the very least, we could get him a small B.
I think that's fair. Well, we don't need this anymore.
No, that's small P goes out. It's done. Don't need it. There it is. Oh, that's the big boy.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
worthy
your
of
big
that
boy.
yet. I'm
That's
not worthy
your big
of
boy.
that. I'm not worthy.
Look at all those big ones down there.
Well, that's how we do it.
I think there might be
I
a.
don't even know where
There is stuff.
I don't even know where
the amount of things stuffed into drawers. I'm just going to talk since both of you have literally walked away from the microphones.
You got it. You got it. Good. Oh, man, multiple versions of it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
All right.
This right now, this is us.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Bo, me.
Then you got this guy.
And you got this, which is, listen, you can't become a big B without at one point, starting your career as a small B. And so
This
he's
was-
entering the fray right now. And
This was also a high mark because at one point this
Had a
one,
mustache.
Doc gave us this, and this one we put a mustache on, and we would do this to Pedro.
yeah, it was really good. Those are good
That
ones
was
as well.
good. That was good.
Yeah.
But
Gibby's
he's
been-
the official interviewer of record.
He is, and and I'm not saying this just because it was fun to have him do it and to be able to say these things about him on air and watch his reactions in real time on Zoom, but also because he had earned it. It was tremendous interviewing. He had a great job with Zinner, asked questions that I was like, wow, that was a really good question.
Yeah.
And so I think it's one of those things where what I'm seeing happen now is, instead of like, hey, Browns boy, now people, it's Gibby. And that's because of, the role he's playing, not only on this program and the huge P, but now he's like this. And when you think of PB, what do you think of? You think of PB&J, peanut butter and jelly, and PBR. There are so many things that start
Case
with
my
PB.
name on it about 5 o'clock today before I go to Oktoberfest.
And they're all
You got
good.
Oktoberfest today.
We're entertaining.
Wait a second. It's August.
It's the annual
not even
Oktoberfest at the
September.
Don Schwab in Olmsted Falls.
This is your place.
This
Why-
is this
Well,
is.
why
the
are they
weekend.
doing it in August?
Help us understand.
They always do it in August.
Oh, really?
Because the weather's the best. So they have circus
smart.
tents set up outside.
Oh, that's very smart.
It's
They said, you know what? We're not going to roll the dice in October and ruin it. So we know the weather's going to be decent in August. We're going to do it again.
Yep.
That's a good job out of them.
That's exactly what they do.
I like that.
They get it in. It's a giant festival.
Yeah.
It just so happens that it's in my backyard. So literally there are people that will be parking at my house. It will be – I'll come home and find people already consuming.
Is there any specific German delicacy or beverage you're looking forward to enjoying?
I'm not a giant schnitzel guy. I don't find it to be flavorful, and
Listen.
I don't. But the varieties of sausage.
Yeah, they'll run that out.
Yeah.
I on my dad's side, my grandma Seidler, Grossmutter, as we called her, was direct from Germany and still had a thick German accent. So she came over during World War I and came over and before World War II. And she would do two things at every Thanksgiving meal. One was a delight, and the other was a
not so much.
I just could barely choke it down. The thing that I could barely choke, and it almost wrecked Thanksgiving because of the way that it smelled, was red cabbage, which I just cannot stand at all. There's something about the smell of it that always drove me nuts as a kid. And I like cabbage otherwise just fine. Like I don't seek it out, but it's just fine. But there was something about the red cabbage I didn't like. But then the dessert she would make was Flammkuchen, which is a plum dessert in like a cakey, sugary stuff.
Who gets hurt by that?
Stunningly good. So that made up for having to choke that down. But anytime we would get into
Flammkuchen?
What's that?
Do you think the Hoffs had some Flammkuchen?
I'm sure he's had a lot of it. Yeah. But I would, and sometimes she would do like, we would go over there and be like a traditional German dinner, and I'd be like, all right, let's go. But I love the beer. Paul Anner, very good.
And the beer will be flowing. I'll be drinking out of a boot most of the night.
They got any Lowenbrow?
Very
Lowenbrow. Great logo.
Lowenbrow. So good.
That was a great logo.
It's a great logo.
And that's a strong lion.
A lion dancing?
Yeah.
Come on. With like a light blue and gold?
Yeah.
I don't even think you can get it I don't think it's even in the States. I think it might be some across the pond.
I think it's Warshiner. Is that it?
Paul Anner's a big one. You see that everywhere.
That'll be there.
Yeah. Beck's.
It's an enormous – they do an unbelievable job. I would encourage anybody to go to it tonight, this whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I know the weather isn't great for later on today.
What do we got today?
Not great. I don't know how my wife and I, tonight is the pre-party night because tomorrow I've got a game. So – all right,
let's see what we're looking at here.
Today is pre-party day.
We have had such a strange August.
It's going to be crazy for the next 4 days. Not great.
No.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And then it's going to be
big thunderstorms tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, that's not great.
No, but again, I've
my God, the weekend's pure trash.
Yeah, well.
80, 90% chance of rain, thunderstorms?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I need
great.
that not to happen from 4:30 tomorrow to about 7:15.
How about the next week? Like it's like September.
Yeah.
High 71?
Yeah.
Like what is going on? That's wild.
Yeah, baby.
Wild. High Sunday of 76. 84% chance of rain.
Yeah. But get out.
Hey,
parking lot, they take care of you.
Come on. Weather.
Great food, great beer, great entertainment. I'll be under the tent. Doesn't matter if there's a tornado. They serve the beer. After a certain point, it doesn't matter what the weather is doing out
tornado
there.
Coming right through.
I kind of do think that would
Give
matter.
Me one more.
Yeah, I do think that would matter.
Blowing through.
I'd like to think that would matter.
The 1 year we were there, I'm like, well, I'm not walking to my house.
Yeah.
So, and it was like hailing at 11 o'clock at night. And they were like, hey, we're closed. I'm like, you're not closed until this storm ends.
Not yet.
In about 20 minutes. So I'm going to need another beer.
While I'm here, you're open.
Yep. Trust me, I'll take care of you. You need to take care of me until this storm passes.
That's exactly right. All right, we concluded joint practices yesterday. For the breakdown, we turn to Dr. Z.
Well, I think this has been a very widely discussed and wide opinions on what happened there. I think it's safe to say that yesterday was certainly a day for the defenses, as we documented on our program while we were on the air, and then on Training Camp Insider, Gerard and myself broke that down. The Browns defense I came away being incredibly impressed by because not only were they dominant, and Juan Thornhill came over on Training Camp Insiders, which you can get on youtube.com/Browns, and said, he's like, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but we kind of like dominated them and embarrassed them the first day. He said, now they obviously their coaches must have got on them because they came back out and it was more of a kind of a heavyweight fight, trading blows with, Justin Jefferson leading the way for the Vikings and all of the defenders for the Browns that were out there leading the way there. But what was really impressive to me about it was the fact that they looked that good without 5 of the 11 starters.
That's right.
You did not have Dalvin. You did not have Zadarius Smith. You did not have Jordan Hicks. You did not have Denzel Ward. You did not have Greg Newsome. And yet with 5, backups in there, you still were an incredibly dominant defense. And so I thought that was a great thing. The offense, we talked about the first day. There was the one session where Watson was just dialed. They were protecting him, and he probably hit 7 or so in a row, some big plays. Yesterday was a tougher day for the offense. Watson threw a pick. Winston threw a pick. And really, we were overwhelmed by Brian Flores' defense, the fronts, and the exotic blitzes they were doing, things that, we had not seen or game planned for. And I do think that that's an important thing for people to understand. And I asked Kevin Stefanski this on the Kevin Stefanski show last night, do you game plan for a joint practice? And he actually laughed and he goes, well, in this case, maybe we should have, because it was a very difficult situation for the offense, seeing things that they had not seen or, really prepped for in any way.
Yeah.
Andy Dickerson is a rising star in that field. I imagine Bill Callahan probably would have been a little bit more able to adapt quickly, or at least have the march orders, because he's seen everything.
Man.
But he's not here, and I think a lot's being made about this. Our offensive line, when they got it right, was good over the last few days. But there were many times they were overwhelmed. We all know left tackle is an issue right now as it stands. We hope to get, Conklin back really soon, and then hopefully Jed back, and so that would shore that up for week 1, because the fact is Dallas can get to the quarterback.
Yeah, they can.
DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, and I know that's not all. So
do you think when Jack comes back that he goes left?
I do.
Okay. And then
I think whoever's back first will be it.
And the other guy will be the swing tackle.
My guess is that ultimately the desired outcome would be for, DeWand and Jed to be the starters and Jack the swing. But if Jack is back and Jed is not, then, yeah, Jack will be that left tackle, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Not to say that he couldn't end up being a left tackle no matter what.
Yeah.
I think you're pretty set the other 4 positions on the line.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think they were good days of work. The main event turned out to be, without question, MJ Emerson and Justin Jefferson. That was so fun to watch.
That was fun, man.
It was really, really fun. MJ more than held his own, should be coming out of that feeling very confident, and Justin Jefferson is as good as it gets. And, the big thing that I think I took away from this in terms of, if for Andrew Berry, things that I think will be very, very difficult on the defensive side getting this roster down, is that cornerback room. Because Denzel, Greg, MJ, Cam Mitchell, I think are 4 that you can go ahead, and those are locks.
Sharpie them in. The problem is you've got 8 level in which you feel like they should be locks for this football team. And the other 4 are Miles Harden, who you've drafted this year, who's played very well. Interception, great ball skills. You can just see it. He knows what to do out there, and he's been incredibly impressive. Khalif Halassi had the interception that ended the 2-minute drill, or 2-minute drill that drive that the first team of Minnesota was running. He's played very well. And really, Harden, you probably envision him more as like a nickel. Halassi is probably your next guy up outside after your big 3. Mm-hmm.
So and he's a young player that has been here the whole time. Then you got Tony Brown, great friend of the program, who is not only a good corner, who can play inside and outside, who had a couple really good days practice, but he's one of the better special teams players in the league. So you would think he's on the team for sure. And then there's Justin Hardy. And Justin Hardy, when we know special teams is going to be even more important this year with the dynamic kickoff, who is a Pro Bowler, who's a 3-time special teams captain, who's a Cleveland native, who's come back home, and you'd be like, there's no way he's not making the team. So I don't know what you're going to do in that room. And I thought getting to see that room operate without Greg, without Denzel, and at times without Cam Mitchell, And for it to continue to play at the level that it did, I thought was very, very impressive.
Is there a tradable, biggest L right there? Is there a tradable asset here?
Yes, but you don't want to get rid of.
You don't want to get rid of corners,
and you don't want to get rid of good corners on rookie contracts.
No.
So, and Tony,
you hate to just let people walk who can play though, and honestly, you're going to have to.
It's a nice problem to have in the sense that for so long you were trying to talk yourself into like, can we get to 48, 49, and then we'll pick up, some cuts from the Patriots, or we'll pick up some cuts, from some other team to round out our roster. And now we're at, 58-ish to maybe even 60 real NFL players on this team. And so, you hope that obviously you can work something out, but teams also, I think, would look at our roster and say, you're going to have to cut people that we are interested in.
Yeah.
And so
we're a long ways from the old days of like, who did the Steelers cut? Can they come in and start?
Oh, yeah.
Those are the days of the rear view, my friend.
No doubt.
You're gonna cut some really good players here.
You are going to cut some really good players. Yeah.
That's the way that's going to shake out. Did we accomplished what we needed to get? I want to ask you about. You mentioned like game planning for what you're going to see from Brian Flores and Coach saying, I probably wish we maybe could have by the way that looked. It was interesting, and I'm sure that I know you know this and the people around here know it, but I heard Joe Burrow say this yesterday in regard to the Chicago Bears and the joint practices they had. And Burrow said, we probably didn't go as smoothly as would have liked, but like we're running our 10 plays, they're running their 10 plays. You're not game planning anything. You're not trying to stop them or anything. And one thing I noticed yesterday when we were watching was the very first in 2 days in Wednesday's joint practices, we ran a lot of stuff where we ran stuff where our receivers would clear and we'd hit backs out of the backfield, little flare passes for big yardage. Well, they jumped it. They were obviously coached for it, ready to go, and they jumped it and was a pick six on Deshaun on the very first throw yesterday.
And that was a similar play that they got the pick on Jameis.
Did they get one on Jameis?
It was a quick, it was a speed out.
It feels like Flores kind of prepared for what we were doing for the second day of joint practices. Whereas listening to what Burrow said and listening to what you said with Kevin, we had some work that we wanted to get done against anything, and so it is hard sometimes to do that on the second day.
It is. And like I said, this was really valuable stuff for the Cleveland Browns, even if it didn't go as smoothly as they may have wanted, to the point of obviously, Joe Burrow saying that in Cincinnati, because these are looks now that the Browns have great tape on. And not to say that, there are teams in our division that do that, but have similar fronts to what we saw out there from Minnesota. And I think that is incredibly valuable stuff for the Browns to get that work against. And that's part of the value in these things, right? This team, and I keep saying it, this team is all about what is going to happen when the lights are on bright starting September the 8th. That's what this team is going to be judged on, and rightfully so. That's what this team is really, honestly, all about. And this should be a very, very good football team. It should be a very good football team. And you've got everything that you need. And by the way, Jerry Jeudy is a dude. He is a dude. He's stood out every day.
It's just been health and consistency at the league level, but he's always was that at Alabama. He is who you think he is.
This is one of my favorite stats.
I showed the boys that you and I were watching live when he did the move where he got 7 yards of separation on a slant.
Jeez Louise.
And I showed the boys that last night, and I said, I want you to watch this and watch how much separation an NFL receiver gets from an NFL corner. This is how great you can be at your craft. And their jaws hit the floor. I mean, just the floor.
Justifiably so.
Yeah.
I would say. Amari Cooper, for his illustrious career, which is 5 Pro Bowls, 7,000-yard seasons, has averaged 8.8 yards per target. Are you documenting the huge P?
I am.
Good.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Jerry Jeudy, for his career, has averaged 8.6 yards per target. So if you were to do that, and I'm going to do my quick little math here.
Private school?
But let's go ahead and say, so it's a 0.2 difference.
Yep.
And if you were to take that, let's say, over a season, let's say if you got 150 targets, we're talking about a 30-yard difference. If you had 150 targets. If you had 100 targets, we're talking about a 20-yard difference.
Yep.
So Jerry Jeudy has been just about as efficient as Amari Cooper over the course of his career. He just has not been in a situation where he has received the targets on a consistent basis to be a consistent 1,000-yard receiver. And hopefully here, that is going to happen. And I think Browns fans should be very excited about Jerry Jeudy and what he has and what he brings to the table. 8.6 yards per target is very good.
As a professional football player, he has never played with this type of talent around him or this type of quarterback play.
Yep.
So, so much of this is the situation you find yourself in. That is such a big part of what this can be. And forever, Denver was everything except a quarterback. They were just missing the quarterback. They went and swung as big as you can on Russell Wilson. It didn't work. But in the meantime, you have this. And again, the other thing with Jerry is just availability. I mean, you're talking about he's played 16 games. In terms of started, he started 14 his rookie year, 14 in 2022, just 11 last year.
Right.
He's played in 16 games twice in his career. So it's just healthy and available.
Yep.
He looked great, though. He looked absolutely great out there. Spectacular. So there you go. It was very positive. It was a fun practice, and those joint practices, I think both teams got a lot out of that. It is a Mailbag Friday. Send your questions to Gibbe at Browns_daily on the X, and we will handle those things there.
Gibbe,
right, there you go.
The official interviewer of the Kevin Stefanski Show.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. So get your questions in there. Coming up next, Jameis Winston on McAfee. Jameis Winston is just
pure
a one-man content tornado at the moment.
Yeah.
It's pure joy everywhere you look. We will get into that coming up next. We're off and running. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document service for the Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office. That number is 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. We put up a great bunch of clips from Jameis. He was mic'd at the in the preseason game last week. That was absolutely priceless and well worth a listen. Yeah, very, very strong.
Oh, yeah.
Very strong on that front. He is he's pure joy. We saw it the first time he was in here. When we talked to him, we saw it out on the golf course where he joined us there as well. He's a lot of fun, and you can see why he's good for the room. And honestly, now that I know him, I totally understand why they did what they did at the end of the game against the Falcons. I get it. I get why they did that.
I get why he did it.
Yeah, I get why he did it. It makes sense. And the
loves
fact
his teammates.
Loves his teammates.
Wanted Jamal Williams to get in the end zone.
Want him to eat?
Yeah, want him to eat.
Yeah. No,
Sorry, Arthur Smith. I wonder if that's going to be tense. I wonder if there'll be a tense pregame moment. Arthur Smith's now the OC of the Steelers.
That guy was such a crud.
Thief of joy.
Remember, I was like, oh God, because there were some rumors about.
Oh yeah. No, I was just say. By the way, I was thinking a little bit about. We were talking. I think didn't we mention?
Oh my God, it's
the
been
Great
too
Rock?
long.
Oh, Slatery, let's go,
God,
baby!
Everybody.
Everyone.
What a Friday!
Could you imagine
Friday.
why did they not?
Go ahead.
Maybe I have the draft order on. Let me pull it up real quick so I can be sure that I'm correct. So when you make a trade like this for Matthew Judon, and when you pay Kirk Cousins, $150 million,
yeah,
you're in, right? Like
you're all in.
You're in, brother. Why?
Yeah.
And how is it even possible that at the 8th pick in the 2024 NFL draft,
yep,
okay, they could have picked Rome Odunze, they could have picked Byron Murphy, or Latu, or Dallas Turner, who we just saw was actually pretty impressive yesterday. Any of the first defensive players on the board. Why did they pick Michael Penix? I still have a hard time understanding why they picked Michael Penix Jr. 8th overall. You could have picked Rome Odunze, and you would have run out there with Drake London, Rome Odunze, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson with Kirk Cousins, and that feels pretty serious.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, they also have just signed Justin Simmons.
That's right.
So they have the best.
Suno.
They have the best safety tandem in the league.
Yeah.
Not Isaiah Simmons.
Oh, Justin Simmons.
That's right.
Who
have
Justin
been with
Simmons.
Denver.
That's right. Justin
so they have
Simmons.
Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates are their two safeties
so they're
now.
loaded. All right. This is
they
what
get
I think
Judon.
happened. This is what I think happened. Terry Fontenot's the GM down there. Rich McKay is the VP of all of it underneath Arthur Blank. I think there are two parallel paths that are being run here. I think on one parallel path, Fontenot in the front office is saying, we have a chance to build something for a long term here. We have a chance to get a young quarterback who can be our guy. Hold on.
Not that young.
Well, still, he could
not Brandon Weeden.
He could be there 10, not Brandon Weeden, but he could be there 10 years or so forth, so on. He could be there a while. So we can do this. We're never going to be, because we're too good, our roster's too good, and with Cousins we'll win too much. So that was their thinking. So on one parallel line, you have that. That same parallel line gets you Raheem Morris, right? Because we're looking for someone who's going to be here 5 to 7 years. Like, let's have a long term. So they have that on that parallel line. On another parallel line is Arthur Blank. And Arthur Blank is saying, I was up 28-3 in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Not long ago.
Yep.
I want to eat. I want the silver football before I go to the football played in the heavens. Get me Kirk Cousins. He probably wanted Belichick. All the reporting was that the front office did not. So Blank lost out on Belichick with the coaches thing. They convinced him otherwise. Convinced him of Penix. Now he's sitting here. He's going like, okay, I gave you Penix. Let's go win now. We got a good team in a division we should get. Judon's available. Get him. Simmons, get him. So I think they're kind of running their operation. We talked about this yesterday with AB. Everyone here rows in the same direction. To me, my theory is that down there, ownership and probably some people around ownership are viewing things a little differently than the front offices. That's my theory.
Guess what?
Jimmy Crackhorn, and you don't care?
I do care in this case. They report to the owner.
I know, but obviously he is allowed to be swayed.
I think
he wanted Belichick.
Here's what I would say. Do not use the 8th pick in the 2024 NFL draft for something that you think in a by the way, worst case scenario, because Kirk Cousins, if he plays well, he's not going away in 2 years, isn't affecting this football team until the 2026 season. Or depending on how you look at it, or that could be a best case scenario. I would say, by the way, if things don't go well, you're not going to be here in 2026 either. So what are you worried about 2026 for? And there is no possible planet in which it would have been a bad pick to pick Rome Odunze.
No, I think they're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
I don't think you should. I think when you do that and you're worried about it, let's just secure the cake.
I'm pro you, and I love cake, especially with ice cream. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could have solved a lot of their problems. I mean, you go Bijan Robinson, which he's kind of redundant. I mean,
it was ridiculous.
That's not a serious organization.
Right.
As soon as you do that, if you just go look at the guys who are available in that draft at positions, I mean, you talk about on their defensive front, Jalen Carter went 9th, one spot behind.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, they could have been a very serious organization in a hurry when they did that. But I think they're trying to have their cake and eat it too a little bit. I think that's how you get to that point. You don't win that way, but that's what.
But they should. Here's the thing: they are, at least in my mind, the prohibitive favorites to win that division.
I mean, I just did that division earlier this week.
The time is now,
and the Saints are so quick. It would be so easy for them to off-road to tanking so easily for them to do it. Like the roster is not. They're not ready to go in any way. They've got some older guys on there who they could trade off. We know the trade deadlines have been a little bit more active in the NFL in recent years, so you could see them dumping some guys, especially up front. Some of their veteran players, you could see them dump. They would easily do that. Carolina is an unmitigated disaster. I mean, it's just there's no roadmap. There's no success. I was talking to a guy, and he's like, yeah, hopefully they can. They just need Bryce to have some confidence. I'm like, how? How is it going to get confidence playing with this operation? Like, there's no path for it. Do you know who the coach is there without looking?
Dave Canales.
That's a good job out of you. It's a very good job out of you. My guess is 99.9% of the listeners
did not. It was the OC in Tampa last year.
And speaking of Tampa, they were talked into Bake and bought into that. And so they have Bake going forward. But the difference between their roster and Atlanta's is extraordinary. Especially now with Judon and Simmons. So, yeah, no, they're good to go. And they could have been even more good to go had they drafted a little differently.
Yes.
So, back to Jameis. He was on Pat McAfee. The first one is McAfee and Jameis talking about Winston's vision issues from earlier in his career. Here's Jameis on that.
Let's go back in time. When you were playing at Tampa, okay, and you lead the NFL in touchdowns and then also interceptions, and then you go back to Florida State, you win a national championship, and you win a Heisman. It came out shortly after. Were you blind during those times? Is that because the way we talk about it is you were blind. You were just a blind man, and then you get LASIK whenever you get to New Orleans. And are you the most accomplished blind man in the history of football? And how big of a difference was it whenever you got your eyes fixed? Could you see things a little better?
Well, I wasn't blind, Pat, but I'll tell you what, LASIK is definitely a game changer. Just the fact that I was able to actually read a stop sign that was clear, read the street signs without using Apple Maps or Google Maps. It really helped me out with my depth perception. But a lot of times at Florida State, I was squinting to look at the scoreboard, and typically we were up, most of the time when I was squinting at Tampa to look at the scoreboard, I was trying to see if I could change the score a little bit. But it really impacted my game just in terms of seeing the depth of linebackers, identifying pressures sooner, and just processing information really fast.
It's one of those that you can't make it up.
Can't make it up.
That's why it's so great.
He continued. Here's a little bit longer for him. This is Jameis on the Browns, Mike Vrabel, culture, and everything in between. Again, this is from the Pat McAfee Show. Let's have a listen.
Let's move to your time now.
You guys are down.
You said you're a man of great faith, and there's a lot of people that just assume you're going to be a preacher or pastor whenever you're done and probably have a massive congregation because the way you're able to put words together. You seemingly always up Always good vibes, inspiring, rallying. We've seen you give pregame speeches. The W eating one obviously made the most headwaves. This past weekend with the Cleveland Browns one, home run.
Yep,
I think an absolute home run. I think you would view that. Do you see yourself as a future preacher, pastor? And when you're speaking, do you feel it's like an obligation of Jameis Winston to like kind of lift the mood of everybody around you?
I just feel like I do whatever's required. Ultimately, like my biggest congregation right now is on Sunday when we out there playing and working together as a team, and millions of people get to see my light shine. Me and my boys saying this little light of mine every night before we go to sleep, man. So that's my prerogative. I'm a man of increase. I'm a man that's always trying to uplift, be optimistic, and encourage others. I think that's a big part of being a quarterback. And since I've been in this backup role that I've been in a few years, I've used that as just a platform to show guys like, hey, no matter what role you're in, you can still be uplifting. You can still lift your teammates up. You can still have that energy and come to work every day ready to go.
Speaking of that, for that reason, I think you've alluded to this a few times, and you kind of just did there. We feel like where you are right now with the Browns, in Deshaun Watson's quarterback room, with where they can get to, with how he can play and how the last couple years have been, you're like the perfect person to be the backup. Do you feel that as well? And is that one of the reasons why you wanted to join the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, absolutely. Every time we talk about, what has happened or what's going to be, I want to make sure that we recalibrate to what is going on right now. What is going on right now is Deshaun Watson is preparing to be a Super Bowl winning starting quarterback. And what we do from today is the only thing that matters. And today we have a joint practice against the Minnesota Vikings, so we're going to go out there and have the best practice of our lives. And I think that's what I bring into this room, of just letting him know, like, hey, man, all we got is today. Tomorrow is not promised. Yesterday is forgotten. So let's make sure we focus on being the best version of ourselves today, because we can look up at our stats and some of the things that we lack. But if we're not focused on how we can be the best version of ourselves today, then we're wasting time.
How's Deshaun Watson taking your messaging?
Man, it's so funny. Like, every time our coach asks a question for us, like, does anyone have anything to say? When we break down, and he's like, 5? Like, he know I got something to say, because it's something I'm always going to keep instilling into him. Like, hey, man, we got to get better. We got to keep going. We got to keep being the best version of ourselves. And when he's the best version of himself, man, he's one of the best to ever do it.
I love that pressure is seemingly just getting taken completely off of his shoulder. Do you feel like that is the case? Like, you're there to make his life, I don't want to say easier, but also better in this whole thing?
Man, I'm here to do whatever's required. Man, he knows that to whom much is given, much is required, and he is obviously the franchise quarterback of this team, and he's looking forward to having a big year.
Hell yeah, we can't wait for that. Let's talk about a new person in town alongside of you. Go ahead, Con Man.
Yeah, Jameis, obviously we've seen all the clips of you and Mike Vrabel racing up and down the field, and I would wonder, and I have to ask, who's winning the overall record between races, but how has it been working with Coach Vrabel, and what does he bring to the table? And do you guys, bounce pregame speeches off each other? Maybe, hey, what do you think the team needs today, or what is it like working with Vrabel?
It's been a privilege working with him, obviously, because of the Super Bowl caliber coach and player that he is, but just the wisdom that he possesses from being in one of the greatest dynasties that the NFL has ever seen. And coming off of being an NFL head coach, man, he's just hungry. He knows he's going to be an NFL head coach again, probably pretty soon. However, he's taking this thing by storm. Our races are sure competitiveness. We just going out there doing routes versus air. We're sprinting to the other side. We're setting the tone. That's one of the first things that we do before we get into our team periods. And we just set the tone. We let everybody know that, hey, we're here. We're here to show up and show out. And I just love the leader that he is. I love the little details that he's able to give to our team from a head coach's perspective and as a player's perspective.
On your mic'd up that was released, I think, by the Browns, you're standing next to him at one point during the game. So obviously you guys have a great relationship. And if we know anything about anybody, if they were able to be around you, I think they would choose to do so. I would like to be around Jameis Winston just because of the energy. But as soon as somebody catches the ball, he's like, get upfield. He's like coaching on the sideline.
Absolutely.
And he has, like, I don't want to say he has no pressure, but seemingly no pressure at all to be doing it. It feels like what Cleveland has is special. Now, Vrabel obviously knew you're new there, but their culture had to be pretty strong to welcome in 2 new people and for you guys to feel as comfortable as you are. Do you agree with that? Like, do you feel good about the culture that Stefanski and them have put together over there the last few years? And how about this year going into the season?
The leadership. Man, the leadership here is phenomenal, and it starts top down with our owner, Jimmy and Dee Haslam, and it starts with our GM, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. Like, they are just doing an amazing job providing a supporting cast that is built for us to win. Like, everything here, like, this is the first place that I've been that has a player development department. Like, I am so blessed that we have people that are actually looking into how are we going to develop these players, how are we going to be the best version of ourselves every single day. And it's just so exciting just to see the people here. Obviously, you've been in Indianapolis, so you know the importance of having a fan culture that's so important. But when you walk in the building and people are happy to be at work because they get a chance to put on Browns gear, like just the love for this football team in this city is amazing. And, you know, and I experienced that, you know, some in New Orleans, just all the support and all the love for football that they have. And this place is very similar, but to a point where, like, we're up north, like, all we have is football. You know, all we have is the Browns. You know, obviously people say, oh, we got the Buckeyes too. But in terms of the NFL, all we have is the Cleveland Browns up here on this lake, and we're looking forward to making some hay. And it starts with the people that are in leadership roles showing that they will do whatever it takes for this team to be successful.
You know, the thing, it's obviously infectious hearing him talk. It's worth reminding that he's one of the greatest college football quarterbacks of all time, that he was the number 1 overall pick in the draft, that he was a franchise quarterback for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and in one season threw for 5,100 yards and 33 touchdowns, also had the 30 interceptions of that, led the league, 319 yards per game, and then took a role in New Orleans to learn, to sit it out, didn't play much, but continued to re-up there and thrived in this backup role. He was incredibly effective in 21 for them. They went 5-2, 1170, 14 touchdowns, 3 picks, 60% passer completion percentage, and they won a lot of games. And so he just hasn't had to play much in recent years, but when he has played, he's been good. And I think it's kind of a lesson for the kids out there. Like, obviously, this is not the career that he thought he was going to have when you're number 1 overall.
Of course
but
not.
he has owned this opportunity about as well as you can own it.
Absolutely. And I think that he is beloved by his teammates, and I think as he was down in New Orleans also, he has made the most of this opportunity. And I think the Browns have one of the better backup quarterbacks now in the National Football League, and they've got somebody that is just so into, as you heard, the culture here and this team and what they can accomplish and getting Deshaun Watson ready to win a Super Bowl. And I love kind of the bite. When you come in as you're the backup and you're a former, you know, you're a guy that a lot of people in the locker room watched when they were young and probably idolized. And now you're the backup. It takes a special person to be able to say, okay, here's how I'm going to conduct myself in these situations. I'm going to be, as he said, you know, a servant leader for Deshaun Watson to help him be the best he can be. And if the time comes that I need to play, then I'm going to do my best, obviously, to do just that. But, yeah, he's a lot better than I think people have thought when they think of him. You know, obviously the 30 interceptions that one year, not great, but, you know, every year he has been in the league that he's played, he's had a pretty positive touchdown to interception ratio. And then the last few years, it's 20-11 over the last 3 seasons with New Orleans. He can sling it. You know, he's a valuable guy. You know, there was the line, you know, Jameis is fun because he's gonna keep both teams in it. And there is some truth to that, certainly in that 2019 season. I mean, he threw for 5,109 yards, as you talked about, 33 touchdowns, 30 picks, 319 yards a game.
Average.
That
had to be, like, Mike Evans must have been 1,700.
Let's see, 2019. And
Godwin
he
had
threw,
to be.
The crazy thing was, of those that his picks, there was a healthy number of pick sixes. Godwin, 86, 13, 33, and 9. Evans, 67, 11, 57, and 8 in only 13 games. All right, we'll see. Gibbe, you can participate in this too. I'm going to give clues until somebody gets the right answer. The third leading receiver on the team that year was a former Cleveland Brown. He was a former first-round pick, not of the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, not of the Cleveland Browns.
He was a former first-round pick of an AFC North team.
Former Brown.
He was here in the
This would have predates me.
I want to say 19 season.
He was
Oh,
here in
you would've been right
2019.
there.
I was here in
Hold
19.
on, I'm telling you, I'll get the exact. 2018. He was here in your first season. Caught 16 passes for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is 21.3 a catch in 2018. Former first-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens. This season, he had 36 catches, 645 yards, 18 yards a catch, and 6 touchdowns.
All I can say is Hollywood Brown. Obviously, that's not who it is. Why am I blanking on who did we get from them? I don't know.
Brashad
Perriman. He had the one game here where he was awesome. He was at Central Florida or South Florida college, one of them.
He was one of
Perriman
Baker's favorites, like down the
was
stretch. He came in
out
late in the
he
season.
had
Central
and-
Florida. He was
Yeah.
the 26th pick in the
He could
2015 NFL draft. He's
Yeah.
averaging 16 yards a catch for his career. That was his best season, 645 and 6.
He had that
with
game
Tampa.
for us with Bake. He and Bake had real chemistry. And he had the one game, I can't remember who it was, but he played really well.
Well, they started to use him in a way where, remember, we'd go kind of like 3 tight ends sometimes when Freddie was – this is Freddie calling the plays in the second half of that season. And he would be the one receiver, and they would just throw bombs to him. So he had 2 for 81 against Carolina in a win, 1 for 31 and a touchdown against Denver in a win. And then that final, he had caught the touchdown against Baltimore in his return there, 3 for 45 and a touchdown. Also had 2 for 76 against Cincinnati in that joyous game in week number 16. So he had kind of like that really good 4-game stretch.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Coming up next, who is going to play John Madden?
Come on, man.
Come on, man. What are you even doing here?
Hey.
We'll get hey. We'll get that coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Is your furry friend have what it takes to beat out the competition? Enter the Dog Dash Sweepstakes presented by Milkbone for a chance to pick up your pet to compete in the annual halftime dog races. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/milkbone to enter and check out more from Milkbone at your local grocer or pet supply stores. As we go around the sports world, we had a preseason game last night. It was the Patriots and the Jets. The Jets played nobody.
Patriots-Eagles.
I'm sorry, I meant Eagles.
And you are,
Hurts,
but you're also correct.
Both green teams. I got
green
them confused.
teams.
Got them confused.
They fly. They did not play their starters. It was a tough watch. Although you got one of the great sideline interviews of all time.
Ramondre Stevenson saying he's going to a better place.
No, that was actually the interviewer who said that. Who?
Are you sure it wasn't Ramondre who said that?
Yes, that said the better place. Yes, yeah.
I thought it was Ramondre who said that.
No,
it was the interviewer.
So the
that?
interviewer asked him a question about the loss and how you're going to make it.
Belichick.
And he talks about Belichick, and then he said, "Actually, I was talking about Judon," and then goes, "He's gone to a better place," and then tried to catch himself. He's like, "Well, a different place."
So there's video over it. So I couldn't. The clip I saw, there was video over it, so I couldn't see. I thought Ramondre answered he's gone to a better place.
Kevin, if you look.
No,
already on it, looking into RBS to see.
Yep, I was going to
know that
say
they played
It was the interviewer.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes.
So he's no
Yes.
longer an employee of the Patriots radio network or television network.
So they had an interesting thing. They had on their broadcast, they had Zolak doing play-by-play with both McCourty twins.
They ran that back.
And then in another location, they had somebody, I don't know who, a host, and Brian Hoyer, who was doing a telestrator.
It was one of their senior writers, Donovan. The voice was in here earlier. We were doing some stuff.
So they had
I have it if you guys want it.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's
listen.
I got to ask you about the guy who just left. How much are they going to miss him, and who's going to step up in his place?
Yeah, I miss Bill. That was one of my favorite coaches. But, Mayo, he's a great leader. He knows what he's doing with us. And, yeah, I'm excited for Mayo, and I think we can get it done with him.
I wasn't talking about Mayo. I was talking about your defensive teammate.
Oh,
Judon. He's moving on to better places.
Yeah. Excited.
At least a different place.
Sure, a different place. Excited for him. I still know he has a couple more years in him, so I'm excited for him.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So the clip, I saw the video of it. I didn't hear the audio. The video, they go to they cut as he's asking the question about Judon. And so I was listening to it kind of in passing, and I just assumed that was Ramondre saying it.
No.
No,
this is the interviewer.
not great.
No. So, all right. So here's my preseason I take. Number one, it was an awful, dreadful, terrible watch.
Bad ball.
Yeah. I mean, and we've got a note in here from Gibbe that the Rams assistant head coach Aubrey Pleasant will serve as the head coach for the team's
They're just
preseason
making
game
a
against the
mockery.
Chargers on Saturday.
Making a
McVay will sit in the booth while Pleasant will be on the sideline. And as Gibbe said, the preseason's getting so bad, even head coaches are relinquishing their role.
Section 135,
Yeah.
row 10, seat 4. You're in. Go call a play for this series.
They're making a mockery of it.
And you want to know something? You know who was ahead of his time? You know who got mocked badly for the way that he approached the preseason? The old ball coach. Because he went out there and schemed it up.
Spurrier.
And the old ball coach.
Yeah.
And they were putting like 46 on everybody.
Yeah.
Werfel's throwing for 303.
Yeah. Shane Matthews
are just lighting people up.
Yeah.
Maybe he was onto something. That's more fun than watching just dreadful ball.
It's exacerbated when you have a good team. It's even worse.
Agreed.
When you have a good team and there aren't position battles and you're not looking for somebody to win a job. Like, we have no jobs up for grabs. So that's part of it. The other part of it is these joint practices have ruined it because they used to do that in the games.
Yep.
And now the work is being – like this would have been – if we didn't do joint practice with the Vikings, you would see Deshaun on Saturday.
Yes.
You would have seen him, and he would have played probably a half. And you would have seen our defense. But instead, because you do it during the week, then you don't have it. We are going to be to 2 preseason games probably very quickly, an 18 regular season. I think you'll get rid of the preseason entirely. The ratings will tell you this, and the audience in the stands will tell you this. The folks have gotten smart to it.
Yes.
They are not going to these games. They're brutal. Not the way that they used to anyway. And so I think it's kind of a combination of joint practices, 3 preseason games instead of 4, and then guys like McVay doing it. He's like, you'd see how he didn't take it seriously at all and never has. Like, they don't ever play their guys in the preseason, and they've done just fine.
More evidence.
It's a mountain upon mountains.
It's overwhelming.
Of
But, you know,
so yeah.
I think you got to get, here's the other thing too. Nobody will scheme anything. It's the most vanilla. It's just bad ball.
Yeah.
And the thing that's frustrating about that is you're saving everything for one game, right? Your week 1 opponent. Because once you play week 1, everybody in the NFL's got all the tape.
Mm-hmm.
It maybe would just be more fun if we kind of did take these like they were real games and you did scheme it up and both teams were actually actively trying to score and
Well, I understand why you don't want to do it for the ones because you don't want them getting hurt, but then why not just make the preseason practice games for your depth chart?
Totally.
And
but
just,
like real
just acknowledge
games.
that the ones aren't playing.
Because I don't think anybody wants to show any of their plays or any of their
it's it's not good. It's not good.
No, and this game, and now there are things that matter in the game for individual players, but there are absolutely no stakes in the game for that positive. There are only negative stakes in the game for an organization that you lose somebody you didn't want to lose due to injury. But like if I ask you right now what the score of Packers Browns was, do you have that at the ready?
No clue.
23-10, and I did the game, so I better know.
Yeah, you better know. No, I mean,
but
I was
because
looking
it doesn't
for a few
matter.
Things early, and then
it's immaterial.
No, I mean we're playing at 4:00. I mean, I don't mean to undercut us, but we're playing at 4:00 on a Saturday.
I prefer. I'll be honest with you. I'd rather be playing at 4 than if it was a night game.
Right, but 4 is not something that, in terms of an interest in people watching it or going to it, 4 ain't it. That's middle of the day on a Saturday in the summer. Like, if you play at noon, you got a chance because you got an evening afterwards. You play at night, you build into it. It's kind of a thing to do. You play at 4:25 on a Saturday, what are we doing? You're smack dab in the middle of the day.
Agreed.
Like
it's not great.
It's not great. So that's just kind of where that is, and obviously we're trending to a point where it's just not serious ball at all. You're listening to WKNR 850 ESPN Cleveland, a good Karma brand station. I teased this, so let's do this now. Nicolas Cage is going to play John Madden in a biopic filmed by Amazon MGM Studio. The film called Madden will be based on the origin story of the video game Madden NFL. So this is a different synopsis than what I read this morning. David O. Russell is directing this. So he did like American Hustle, and he's a serious filmmaker. And what I read was it was that this was going to be about the 70s, and it was going to be the Raiders in the 70s with him and Al Davis and how they went counterculture.
Sign me up for
That's
that.
what I hope it is. Now, where did you get – is this you, Brock? Where did we get this on? Where did you get this on the Madden NFL video game?
New York Times.
So New York Times had that. So there was a quote in the casting that I read this morning that said this was about – let me pull it up. That it was about the 70s and the Raiders with Al Davis. That, to me, has a chance. Nick Cage as John Madden, if it's young John, you got a chance. You got a chance if it's young John. But if it's boom, boom guy, Will Ferrell was up for the role as well, then it's just a different movie. Then it's a comedy.
Will Ferrell can be a serious actor.
I don't think he can be in anything that's successful. This is David O. Russell's statement on this.
Hey, come on.
No, he was. He was up for Bus.
What?
He didn't get it.
In the hell just happened?
He was good in what's goodness.
He's very good.
You're
as
right. He hasn't
with The Shrink. That was a very sick. That was a good. Yeah,
everything he's been in has been a romantic comedy, according to Zagor.
That's true too.
No, I'm talking about the TV show.
Anchorman, romantic comedy. I don't know if it was a hit.
Veronica Corning.
All right, so here's
the Shrink Next Door.
I don't think it was a hit at all.
Him and Michael Scott. It was great.
I don't know if it was. This from David O. Russell, who's the
Paul
director.
Rudd, I mean.
Nick, he talks about Nicolas Cage. Or this is what made me excited about this. The last line from O. Russell's statement. Together with the ferocious style, focus, inspired individualism of Al Davis, owner of the underdog Oakland Raiders, the feature will be about the joy, humanity, and genius that was John Madden in a wildly inventive, cruel world of the 1970s. So that I'm into.
Yeah, but that should be Will Ferrell.
I just don't know that people – I think he is so Ron Burgundy.
Typecast.
So Frank the Tank. That's probably what cost him the gig in the Lakers series, is that they felt like he couldn't – that if he did something, he would be doing an impression.
Right.
Rather than, because if he's being Madden, he's going to do the voice. He's going to do the Harry Carey thing. Like, I just don't know that people.
Great as Harry Carey.
He's great, but I just don't. I think that's what prohibits him from doing those roles.
Saw someone
I
tweet.
so.
I saw someone tweet this morning, and they were like, "If only he'd been alive, this would have been the perfect role for John Candy."
It was Kyle Brandt who tweeted that out, and that's the same
later,
thing, though. Then it becomes
yeah, for sure,
farcical.
Like I think if they're trying to tell, like if they're trying to do like a Moneyball Raiders, and by the O'Russell quote, who's the director, that makes me think that's what they're doing. But I don't know, because you have this in the New York Times that's saying it's something else.
I mean,
I don't care about the video
Cage?
game. I don't care about
Nick Cage.
Go ahead. What do you have? One more time. Nope.
This is from IMDb. My bad. This is from IMDb about the plot line of Madden. After being forced into retirement by the Oakland Raiders, fiery former NFL head coach John Madden teams up with a mild-mannered Harvard programmer to rewrite his fading legacy by building the world's first football video game.
Okay, this is the director, so we're going IMDb of their director. We're trying, you know what I mean? Like, I would think O'Russell is making
there's
movies
something interesting. In
So here's the other thing about that. Anybody who knows the history of the Madden video game knows that he was like, wait, what?
Well, he insisted there was 11 on 11. It was originally going to be like 7
There's
on 7.
There's all these stories about how he was like, really?
Yeah.
This is what we're doing? So,
yes, fair.
I do think 70s Raiders would be fun. Like in Oakland, everything that went with that, I think that
just
could
really
be fun.
feels like it needs to be. Why Nick Cage?
I don't know. I mean, he's proven that he can act through the years. Isn't he a Best Actor award winner?
Is he?
Yeah, I think he won Best Actor for Leaving Las Vegas. Pretty sure he did.
That was a long time ago.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, to me, Nick Cage, and I
Nick
have a
Cage
great
likes
deal
to buy things,
of,
so he has to work. So he will take any job that pays. That's what he's done over the last 25 years. Because he likes to buy, like, Anne Rice's houses and Superman's capes and Tyrannosaurus Rex skulls. Like, he likes buying stuff like that. So he's got to work.
1, 2, 3, 4. He is currently married for the 5th time.
There you go.
To Rico Shibata.
Did not have that.
I didn't have that either. He was, let's see. I'm going to see if he's a recipient of various accolades, including an Academy Award, a Screen Actors Guild Award, and a Golden Globe Award, as well as nominations for 2 BAFTA Awards. He earned an Academy Award winner for Best Actor for the dramatic film You Had It, Leaving Las Vegas, which was, by the way, 28 years ago.
Yeah, been a minute.
Okay, 28 years ago. I don't know that he's done.
I'm not too hung up on Nick Cage. I just hope they do the right movie.
I just don't Nick Cage and his voice and what Nick Cage. I just.
But I don't know.
Did
Madden talk that way in the 70s?
I mean, I feel like it had to be his voice. Yeah. We'd have to ask the official Nana. She used to listen to Madden and my dad. They'd listen to Madden on the radio.
I mean, he's the most important television guy the NFL's ever had on TV.
Yeah,
he was a one-man business. I just whatever story you're going to tell. Don't do the video.
Yes.
Make the video one be the postscript or the end of it. Like, tell the story of the 70s Raiders. Give me Kenny Stabler. Give me Lester Hayes. Give me Mike Haynes. Give me Alzado. Give me those guys. That's what I want.
Yep.
That's the story that I want to have told there. All right, coming up next, second hour of the program, Z one-on-one with Cade York. Among the topics of conversation, listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And be part of the Cleveland Browns Foundation 50-50 raffle, open online now. Lucky fans throughout Ohio can win big and support youth in our communities. 50% of the jackpot goes to the winner. The other half benefits the Stay in the Game Attendance Network and shoes and clothes for kids. Get your 50-50 raffle tickets today on the Cleveland Browns mobile app or at browns5050.com. Now here is Z, one-on-one with Cade York.
Very happy now to be joined by
You're done.
Cade York. Cade, dude, great to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking. I mean, it's a lovely day out here. Football's in the air. We're about to get back to it. Just kind of talk to us. It's been a while since we've probably talked, and a lot of people who have been very invested in your career from the second you were drafted here and made the 58-yarder against Carolina, and you've had a little bit of an odyssey. What's kind of just this whole experience been like for you that's gotten you back to right here where you are today?
Yeah, it's been crazy. At times it sucked, but it's been an amazing experience. I actually got to share a little bit of it after the game on Saturday, and it was so cool to just be able to get my testimony out there on how everything's changed. After I left, I ended up going to Tennessee. I was in a low place, and just all I could think about was trying to get back on the field. And I felt like even when I started kicking really well and changed some stuff and got back to where I wanted to be, I felt like opportunities would show up and then just get shut down very quickly. And that's part of the game and like just the NFL in general. But it almost felt like someone's got it out for me because all these opportunities are just getting shut in my face. Like I thought that was going to work out, kind of thing. Ended up in New York, was kicking well, and again felt like an opportunity just got shut in my face. Was on the active roster, just not playing. So it was a blessing to get my vested season and all that, but it was still really frustrating. Ended up getting put on P squad because the kicker was doing well, and they just ended up elevating him. And so I just was working, and I was kicking really well. The only thing I was missing was some really long balls. So one day I went and worked a couple long balls at the end of a session and ended up tweaking my quad. It was just a small strain, was out for a few weeks just resting. I was on practice squad, so it wasn't a big deal anyways. Then that kicker ended up getting hurt. 3 weeks later is my time to shine. I was coming out I was feeling good, kicking the ball well, and then popped my quad. Ended up having a grade 2 strain, and just that was the last straw for me. Yeah. I went to a kind of a dark place for about a week. Ended up going home because that was a Christmas game. Going home for Christmas, couldn't if football was on, I just left. I just super dark place, and I had this. Ended up coming back, was rehabbing, and I had this time in called it my crappy hotel room in New York where I just kind of broke down. Got angry with God, started throwing stuff around, kind of trashing my room, just yelling. Because this whole time I've been really searching for a relationship with Him and trying to increase in that area. I feel like it was super heavy on my heart to seek Him. And then stuff kept going wrong, and I was like, okay, I'm seeking You and things are getting worse. This sucks. So I got mad, and I threw stuff around and just had this moment where I kind of just got yanked to my knees. Ended up praying, and just the first time I felt you read in the Bible in Psalms, King David has these prayers where he's desperate for God. And it was the first time I had a prayer like that, where I just surrendered everything, gave it all to Him, whether it be career, injuries, money, all of it. What people think of me, surrendered it all. And had this moment afterwards where I was like, holy crap, this is the first time I feel like all the weight's been taken off. And things didn't necessarily get better after that, but God was changing me in the circumstance. Got plugged in with some really cool people. Steve Weatherford, who was a punter for the Giants for a long time, ended up seeing one of his videos and loved what he was talking about. I knew he had ministry in Dallas and did a bunch of stuff there, so I sent him a message on Instagram, and he literally texted me back 5 minutes later, or sent me a message back, which is crazy because he told me later on, he's like, I never check my DMs. Someone else will do it for him. Sent me his number immediately, ended up getting in contact with him and getting plugged in with him when I went back home to Dallas, and very quickly kind of joined in his ministry, started doing stuff with him, experienced God in crazy ways, saw miracles happen, saw a whole bunch of stuff, and just a huge increase in faith, but still football wasn't getting better. But again, God was changing me in that season and making me more like Jesus. Not that I'm ever going to be like Jesus, but that's the whole idea of Christianity, is to become more like Christ. And going through that, I'm trying to get back with a team. I had a couple offers. One had like some stuff in the contract. I didn't want to sign it. Another team said they were going to sign, didn't sign. Another team said they might sign, didn't sign. Whole bunch of stuff. Like flew out all over the place and just nothing was. And a lot of it is because they wanted to see me kick, so I had to get healthy. Yep. And then once I was healthy, I was like, all right, I can kick. And then they were just signing other people. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what the heck? Y'all aren't keeping your word. And then I woke up from a nap one day and had 3 missed phone calls from my agent, 2 missed phone calls from Andrew Barry, and I was like, what the heck did I miss? Ended up talking to AB, and he just kind of gave his pitch for me to come back to Cleveland. And I was like, all right. First off, at first I was basically thinking in my head, like, all right, don't be crazy. Like, I always wanted to come back. Like, I love it here. But I was, like, thinking in my head, of course, God has different plans, but I was thinking in my head, I'll go somewhere, have success for a little bit, and then come back when the time's right. But nope, not going to have success anywhere else, just going to come back right off the bat. So at first I was like, don't be crazy, like, be realistic. Like, go somewhere you have this clear line, like, back to playing. But prayed about it, fasted one day, and at the end of it, I feel like God kind of pointed at me, like, pulled me to, like, you're going back to Cleveland. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll go back. Went back, and, of course, love it here. And, yeah, God just has me in this season of growth, and, like, whatever season I'm in, I want to steward it well, and if the season is me not playing, then I'm just going to make sure off the field that I'm a great reflection of Jesus, that I'm the guy that prays for people, the guy that if someone gets hurt on the field, I'm going to go pray for that person and pray for healing. If somebody's struggling with something, I want them to be able to come to me and, like, let's talk it through and see, like, what the Bible says about doing this. And again, like, it's given me this, like, different feeling. Like, I still am, like, super dedicated, love kicking so much. I'm still great at it. I still, like, every time I go out, I have this killer mentality where I want to make it. But there's this different, it's like almost like, even though I love it so much, it's almost like kicking is my hobby now, and my job is, like, obeying and being obedient and, like, being a follower of Christ. And it has this new, like, perspective of, you know, like, yes, I'm going to work my butt off, but it's going to be okay no matter what. And yeah, so it's brought me to a new place, and I'm just ready to use every opportunity I get to glorify God, but then also take advantage of every opportunity to kick. So
the pressure in this business that this is your skill, this is your gift, and obviously you are now pursuing, parallel paths and what is the most important to you, is immense, right? I don't think people can really understand it unless they do it, and that can stress you in so many ways. And so to be able to find something for you that you can be so fully immersed in and as a guiding force to remove that pressure in some ways has to be huge.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I want it for everybody. Sure. I feel like that's part of, like, I feel like God called me back here for almost more off the field than on the field. Like, yes, on the field I can still be a weapon, and I think people know that, and I know.
We saw, 55 yards right down the pipe. I said on the broadcast that would have been good from 70.
Yeah, that one felt good. But I want that for more people, and I want people to be brought to Christ. I want, like, God to soften people's heart. I want to see, like I'm praying and believe we're not just, like, people, but, like, entire organizations to, like, be brought to their knees like I was in that hotel, and just know, like, this world is fleeting, but there's one thing in just living with an eternal purpose, not just a purpose of how am I going to work today in this building,
Absolutely. And you come into a room now with a veteran who I think in many ways is probably like-minded to you and has been through a lot of things. And Dustin Hopkins, that's got to be incredible, both of you, really.
It's actually so amazing. And it's from the outside looking in, and even, like, my worldly perspective at first coming back, I was like, Dustin had a great year. Like, I love Cleveland. I don't know why God's calling me back here. But then being around Dustin, at first it was, like, kind of tough. I love Dustin. I loved him before he was even in Cleveland. We spent time in Gatlinburg, Tennessee one summer, and me and him were cool that whole time. But being around someone that, yes, like you said, has had pain in his, like, career. He's had, like, struggle, but he's also had lots of success, and he's someone that is such a strong Christian. Like, I'm not going to share too much, but me and Dustin even spent, like, 2 hours together yesterday, like, prayed for each other, and then spent time just, like, talking about, like, our testimonies and, like, what him giving me advice on, like, how to, like, be like balance of like, yes, like working hard for like what you love to do in kicking, but also like how do you like not let it become too much and be like Christian is always like following God and like being a good steward of what you do is number one. And just like ended up like talking, like I think we got out at 4:30 yesterday. Me and him didn't leave the building till like 7:15. So it's someone that I like, yes, competing or like both at the same position, like we both can't play at the same time for the same team, but if I was going to do it with anybody, I'd love to do it with him. So it's been awesome.
And it feels like kind of perhaps that was one of the reasons that you were pulled here, because he's somebody who's kind of walked your path prior to you walking it, and probably has wisdom in ways that resonate with you that maybe no other kicker in the league would have.
For sure. And I feel like I've been blessed, honestly, everywhere I've gone. I've been able to pick up little pieces from different people. And like different veterans or guys that have been around the league. Like in New York, I loved being around Graham Gano. He was another believer, and just like in a time where he was going through an injury as well, like I spent a lot of time with him, talked about kicking with him, talked about God with him, talked about family with him. So I look back last year, and if you like look on paper, it really sucks. But when I look back at it, I'm so thankful for it, because I had this whole new, like it's not about winning. Like, yes, I want to win, but it's not about winning in life. It's about standing strong, standing firm in the faith, because it was already won on the cross, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is very powerful, and it's incredible, actually, just sitting here talking to you and just how you've evolved and what clearly is kind of that guiding light for you now in your life, and how powerful it is for you to be back here kind of where it all started and have a chance, full circle to make amends. And they say, darkest before the dawn, and you've been through that, and now you're back, and this town, they are thrilled to have you back. Like this is they love the Browns, they love you, and everybody, nobody will ever forget, what you've done.
And I think it's something that before would have really freaked me out, like not knowing what's going to happen. But now it's almost this exciting thing, like, all right, like I trust God, like God has shown up in like some dark places and like areas that I have no idea what's going to happen. Now I'm like, all right, what are you going to do next? Like, just like cool stuff. So I'm thankful for whatever's going to happen, whatever, like, persevere, like, I don't know, I'm just thankful for all of it. I'm thankful if I'm here and I'm on P Squad, or if I'm here and, who knows what's going to happen. Sure. Or if I'm somewhere else, I'm just going to be thankful for all of it and just try and glorify God through it.
Well, we're certainly happy to have you back, and happy you found this peace, and so excited for you as a human and also as a kicker here for the Cleveland Browns.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Good stuff from Z and Cade. Coming up next, we'll get you set for preseason game number 2 against the Minnesota Vikings. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk Serious Lawyers, Serious Injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Preseason game number 2, Minnesota is in town. Dr. Z, as we know, you're not going to get a lot. You're not going to get any of the primary players. DTR getting the start, so that's a little bit fun.
Yeah, that'll be certainly a good time, something fun to see. He's been a preseason star for a while. By the way, the Browns have announced a couple of moves on their roster right now. The team has signed safety Tyler Coyle and long snapper Rex Sunahara is
He's back, baby.
He's back, baby. Charlie Hewlett will be fine for the regular season, but that just takes the load off him. They've waived linebacker Brandon Boyer-Randall, who just joined the team earlier this week. They have waived him out of UConn. They've also waived Brady Breeze, and Brady Breeze led the team with 11 tackles, had a sack in that game against Green Bay, but he has been waived with an injury designation. And so Coyle comes in. He will wear number 39, Brady Breeze's number. It is a cruel, cruel world. And
make sure you write all these names down in permanent marker and Sharpie because you're going to need to know them in November.
He's going to be back, too. Or he's going to be playing Tyler Coyle right off the street because we're not going to, in this game, play Juan Thornhill, Grant Delpit, or Rodney McLeod. Ronnie Hickman is hurt. D'Anthony Bell is hurt. So that leaves Chris Edmonds, who is the only one that's been here the whole time, Chase Williams, who was just signed earlier this week to play safety after the Ronnie Hickman injury out of San Jose State. And then we just signed, wait for it, Tyler Coyle today, and he will play.
Yeah. It's wild you're in a position where there are no chance for any of these human beings to be here in a month.
I think Chris Edmonds could be on the practice squad. I'm going to go ahead and plant that flag.
In the Sunday situation.
September the 8th?
Yeah.
I would say people that will potentially see the field on Sunday, September the 8th.
But what you're about to do, I think, will illustrate what's happened in the preseason football.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Here are the people that I think you will see that could play on Sunday, September the 8th. Tony Brown, Justin Hardy, Miles Harden, potentially Cam Mitchell, and Khalif Halassi. At linebacker, just because of injury, I think they're going to have to play Mahmoud and Devin Bush. Winston Reed is kind of think of a Matt Adams. He could be somebody to keep an eye on, number 59. On your defensive line, Isaiah McGuire, Mike Hall if he plays.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they might just have to play. They could probably just go Mike Hall, Siaki Ika, Juwan Briggs, and Chris Williams at defensive tackle, depending on if Mo Hurst is or Shelby or Quentin Jefferson. If they're going to play them, they might not. It could end up very well being, maybe Shelby a little bit, get him some work. I don't know, but not much. Offensively, guys that could be playing on September 8th, there should be nobody on the offensive line. Jordan Akins maybe as a second tight end, Giovanni Ricci. I think Deontay Foreman they're going to try to get some work to, which will be his Browns debut. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So chance for young guys to impress, not just here, but around the league. And this is what's happened. In meantime, what we got to see with our own two eyes yesterday and Wednesday was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It was good work.
Really good work that got done for this roster. So there you go in terms of tomorrow's game number 2 of the preseason against Minnesota down on the lake. We will hit the mailbag coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. This season with Ballybet Sportsbook app, place your first bet of $50 or more. You get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for the mailbag presented by the Cross Country Mortgage Company, the official mortgage partner of your Cleveland Browns. When it comes to financing, they're always going to get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Equal housing opportunity, NMLS 3029. Hello, Gibby.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Hi. Tweet us at Browns_Daily. We're taking your questions. I want to get a quick thought from both of you on something we didn't get to a little bit earlier.
Yep.
ESPN firing RG3.
Yep.
With 2 years left on the deal. Also, Sam Ponder out. They're calling them business decisions. I can't believe 3 weeks before the season we're making business decisions on the football side. The report is that Mike Greenberg might be taking over NFL Sunday Countdown because he's not doing enough.
Does he? I saw Awful Announcing tweet this. It could have been our buddy Ben Axelrod, and it's so on point. He tweeted, does Mike Greenberg have it in his contract that every time a job comes open at ESPN, he gets first shot at it?
He just gets it.
Because
are they trying to make him the face of the network?
I think he wants to be the face of the network. Stephen A. is the face of the network. But he was Mike and Mike forever. Stopped, and he was great when he's on with us. Awesome. I don't mean to sound negative, but like he was that. Then he started. Then they did Get Up. So they've done that.
And Get Up's become a pretty good show.
But it's evolved.
Yeah.
Into what he used to do. Honestly, quite honestly, he evolved into that. So now I think he still does a radio show
from 10 to noon.
Okay, so there you go. So I don't know where that is because so many markets that have ESPN are doing local at that time. And then he does an NBA countdown. Didn't he do some NBA countdown?
Yeah, and he was the
at one point
NFL draft.
An NFL draft,
like night one.
Now
like
he's
he took over for Trey Wingo.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it's so funny. Like the networks put so much money into those Sunday shows, and I don't know a single person who watches any of them.
I'm not the right.
You guys are preparing for games, but like just
like it's on in case something breaks.
On the Sundays that I'm watching football content, I'm pretty much trying to be back at 1 o'clock. I'm not.
Yeah.
I would throw one on in the background. It's not the days of like the
in our booth on game day.
There was a heyday for Sunday NFL Countdown.
Yeah, I mean
that is gone.
Probably from the early to mid '80s through the '90s. That it was.
Yeah,
that's what it was. And I was always more of an NFL primetime than Countdown.
Well, primetime for sure.
Primetime was what I loved.
That was the best.
The day.
That's what I loved. Like the 3-minute highlight packages of every team and all of that. Like I was never somebody who sought out Countdown or sought out the morning programming.
You used to also not know what happened everywhere.
Not only did you not know what happened,
so that was the way to see it.
For sure, on primetime. But even on Countdown, before social media, that's where you found out who was playing and who was not for fantasy rosters. Because before social media, you would just reload sites every 2 seconds. You'd wait for Glazer. You wait for the information guys to say, he's in, he's out, who's in, who's out. Now that's all done on social, and you see it.
Yeah.
So you don't need to sit there and, be slave to somebody telling you it. You've had it for an hour.
Yes.
In some instances.
All right, let's get down to the questions. Kevin Lang, how will the defense adjust to the moving style QBs we struggled against last year, i.e. Wilson and Stroud?
I think it's hilarious that C.J. Stroud was just called a mobile quarterback, and the biggest beef with him at Ohio State is that he would not run. By the way, single biggest beef is that CJ would not run when he was.
By the way,
State.
we did a pretty good. I think we've done a pretty good job against Lamar.
Yeah, Lamar's the best at this,
and he's the best at. Now Minshew, who is not a running quarterback, gave us a problem last year.
Here's the problem with Minshew: people underestimate him.
Yes.
So on a one-off, you see this dude down at the other end who looks like he's going to a Lainey Wilson concert, and in the meantime. All of a sudden he's playing, and you're like, he's a lot better than I thought.
Yeah,
he's a little bit of a gamer. Like I don't know what he is over the course of a whole season. There's a hard ceiling on it.
By the way,
but in a one-off, he's deceiving.
Had a running back caught a swing pass.
Yeah.
On 4th down, we were going to Indianapolis. They were going to the playoffs.
We
the Texans didn't make.
We were O'Malley's in the alley watching.
The Texans didn't make the playoffs.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Sad.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, imagine what the narrative about them is this year if they did
lose that game, and that we wallop them without Stroud before that, and then they lose that game, and they're not in the postseason, then it would all be about Indy. So, yeah. By the way, people in Indy think that Anthony Richardson is going to go nuts.
Yes. Is going to be a
we
dude.
need Yellowstone. Boots on the ground there.
The only thing I would say is he missed time with the shoulder and a concussion.
Yep.
He's only played 13 games.
Yep.
He's played 17 games since high school.
Yep.
So, like,
the idea that
does
he's
he
do
know
that in
to
1
not?
year?
Can he take care of himself?
By the way, C.J. Stroud last year,
Well, if not-
a robust 167 yards rushing for the season.
For the season, yeah.
For the season, yes.
Remember, Flacco back up in Indy.
Oh, baby.
Our boy.
Bud Leiterman. Any idea which NFL team ran the most offensive plays in 2023? I don't know where he's going with that, but
Does he wants to know that? That's his question?
yeah, that's his question.
I think I can probably.
What's the question?
Give me
Any idea which NFL team ran the most offensive plays in 2023? I don't know where you're going with that.
I don't know who played with the tempo for that. I know the college side of it because Ohio State was like 96th in the country in plays per game, which they were despondent about, and they hired Chip Kelly, who was like 7th at UCLA. So I know the answer to that, but I can't help you with NFL plays per game leaders.
Hey, I'm gonna hold on. Just keep going. I'm gonna get it.
Sure, Bobby time. What is a fad from your childhood we should absolutely never bring back?
Well, I think that I mean, it's funny. I just had this conversation with the boys because they asked, "Well, what kind of hair did you have when you were a kid?" And I said, "Well, there was a stretch when I was your age where I had a very healthy mullet with a very strong gel spike and a long back. That didn't look good then. It don't look good now. So that's one that could stay right where it was."
I think I had locks.
Did you ever have the mop?
No.
No?
No, not in the back.
Yeah,
No.
that was
I started shaving it and never came back. And
it was
my
the Bosworth.
one nephew has a mop on his head. He starts high school on Monday, and I'm like, the ladies are going to love that.
We don't need a mullet.
All the kid loves the mops.
Bowl cuts.
I had a bowl cut.
Yeah, you do that.
You had a bowl. Is there a picture of this?
Yeah.
May I see it?
What was your transformational hairdo of your youth? What was the go-to? Young Nate bouncing around the Bay Area, saving people's lives in swimming pools.
I had just kind of like a pretty normal haircut, honestly.
Just really short?
Not really short. It was like a little bit. I had a little part, a little part.
Yeah. What was your rebellious Nate stage?
I never really had one.
Under Pedro's.
Maybe when I had like this and I had like just a chin goatee, which was
But that wasn't in high school, right?
No, that was college.
Oh, college.
That was a real look.
Well, because
a real something.
We all had that because we couldn't grow the rest of it.
I don't know about
so we did that.
All right,
I
so
had that too.
Hold on a second now. I've got. So what I'm seeing here is the most plays played by.
I can't believe we're being bogged down by this when we have Bobby time.
I know. Let's get to Bobby.
Hurry up.
Here,
Get your plays.
I've got it. I'm looking. Hold on. Hold please.
What's
Keep going.
your favorite movie quote, Bo?
I know that I have.
Holy cow! There's so many. There's so many.
Do you have it? What do you got? You're trying to be gold star today. What do you got, Brock?
Do you have the plays?
Browns.
Yeah, 1240. That's what I thought. So
Average-
Wyatt Teller played the most plays of any individual in the league. Browns 1240. Yeah, good job, bro.
Trick question.
The Browns averaged the most offensive plays per game last year at 69.82 plays per game.
Top 5: Browns, Cowboys, Lions, Jags, Bills were your
week
top
one.
5.
Were they all playoff teams?
Who
did you just say?
Browns,
Lions, Bills, Cowboys,
everybody but Jags,
the
Jags kind of biffed it at the end. Bottom: Seahawks, Raiders, Patriots, Titans, outlier, and probably because they were just so darn efficient, Niners.
There you go. You know a quote? It's not my favorite, but it's one that I really like to use on the boys. Is one of the great quotes in that incredible thing that Baldwin does in Glengarry Glen Ross, when he says, "I'd wish you luck, but you wouldn't know what to do with it."
That's a good line.
I like that line.
By the way, how
I'd
did
wish
your
you luck,
boy
but you
do
don't know what
last
to do
night?
with it.
Yeah.
Interception. He had an interception. Yeah, we won 16-0 in the scrim game, and he got himself a little pick. quick feet, quick hands, got it done. Good job out of him. Yeah, it was fun. It was nuts being not coaching.
Just
I didn't know what
observing.
to do with my hands. Like I truly didn't. I was like, I wanted to like go talk to him about adjustments, and not just him, but like
the kids.
Many of those kids I've coached since they were in second. I mean, in some instances since first grade, and so like seeing them, like stuff that I would say to them and have said to them since they were 7 or 6, to not be able to say to them was crazy. So I just like went all the way to a corner like away.
Yeah,
and I just did that. It was strange.
I'm sure it was very strange. Yeah. I always like the llama quote from Caddyshack. Just a great one.
Yeah, there's so many that you use on the regular basis.
Lebowski, I got the need for speed.
So many.
I might drop that in the back of the Blue Angels.
I look forward to that. You're getting close to that, aren't you? When are
Next week.
Yeah.
Next week?
2 weeks.
So I've watched a couple media rides in my preparation.
I don't think you should do that. I wish you wouldn't have done that.
It looks crazy.
No, I wish you wouldn't have done that.
not.
I don't think that's like I don't think kids watch, like Peyton will watch like a video of a new ride at Cedar Point before he rides it, and I'm like, don't do that.
I don't think there's any possible way for a television to do justice to what I'm going to experience.
There isn't.
But you don't want to be tipped off.
Go as blind as you can.
Yep.
I think you're gonna absolutely love it. All right, so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Here you go, preseason game number 2. It's the Vikings. It is the Browns, 4:25 tomorrow at Cleveland Browns Stadium. Your lineup on the University Hospital Cleveland Browns Radio Network. Browns Game Day, Ken and Gerard. That's at 12:30. Then at 2:30, Andy and Tyvis on the kickoff show. And then at 4:25, kickoff at Cleveland Browns Stadium. Jim, Gerard, and Ken on that. You will be on the television.
Chris Rose, News 5, baby. Let's go.
There you go.
Aditi down on the sidelines.
There you go. Hey, take care of business. Be safe. Maybe there's not many guys who are fighting for roster spots even playing in this thing. Most of it's already established. Let me ask you this. Off the top of your head, how many roster spots are available if everybody's healthy?
I would say there's probably wide receiver 6, tight end 3, maybe offensive lineman 9 or 10, defensive tackle 5, linebacker 6, if that's even a spot.
1 minute.
Cornerbacks 5 and 6.
And if you went with a pen right now and said who's in, it's one here.
Yeah, just without knowing the injury situations, that would be the one change. But yeah, that's pretty much
just not much there.
No. It's a pretty well-established, very good, deep football team.
We'll be playing Dallas before we know it. In the meantime, you play the Vikings. Good luck on the call. Not
Thank
that
you.
you need it, my friend. Going to be a good job as well. You and Chris, always entertaining. Enjoy that. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great weekend. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.